of World War II, the world was divided into two ideological camps: the capitalist West, led by the United States, and the communist East, led by the Soviet Union. For nearly half a century, these superpowers clashed in a Cold War, vying for influence across the globe. Africa, emerging from the shadows of colonialism, became a battleground for these competing ideologies. But as the Soviet Union collapsed in the 1990s, the world shifted to a unipolar world, with the United States reigning supreme. Today, however, the rise of China and the resurgence of Russia are challenging this dominance, creating a new multipolar world. Where does Africa stand in this shifting global order? The Cold War era was a pivotal moment for Africa. As European colonial powers weakened, the United States and the Soviet Union saw an opportunity to expand their influence. The United States, drawing from its own anti-colonial history, supported African nationalism. President John F. Kennedy championed the cause of African independence, and during his presidency, more than 15 African nations gained sovereignty. On the other side, the Soviet Union saw Africa as a fertile ground for socialist revolutions. Nikita Khrushchev pledged support to national liberation movements, promoting Pan-Africanism and anti-imperialism. This ideological competition accelerated Africa's decolonialization, but also tied the continent's fate to the whims of external powers. While the West offered aid tied to democratic reforms and economic liberalization, the East provided support for revolutionary movements and infrastructural projects. However, with the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991, the West gained unprecedented influence over Africa's political, economic, and cultural trajectory. Today, the unipolar world dominated by the United States is being challenged. China and Russia have emerged as key players in Africa, each with its own strategy. China, through the Belt and Road Initiative, has invested billions in infrastructure projects across the continent, offering loans with no strings attached. This approach has made China a preferred partner for many African nations. Russia, on the other hand, has positioned itself as a counterbalance to Western influence by providing military support to regimes at odds with the West, such as the Central African Republic, Mali, and Niger. Russia has cast itself as a defender of African sovereignty. The 2011 NATO intervention in Libya, which led to the overthrow of Muammar Gaddafi, deepened anti-Western sentiments in the Sahel region. This has allowed Russia to step in, leveraging historical ties to the Soviet Union and presenting itself as a savior from Western exploitation. Meanwhile, the BRICS alliance, comprising of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, has gained popularity amongst African nations. Promising increased economic cooperation and non-interference, BRICS has become a symbol of a new world order, one that many African countries are eager to join. The United States has not been idle in the face of these challenges. In recent years, it has rekindled its interest in Africa, launching major infrastructural projects like the $600 million Lobito Atlantic Railway, which aims to connect mineral-rich regions of Zambia and the Democratic Republic of Congo to Angola's Atlantic coast. However, the election of Donald Trump in 2016 marked a shift in the U.S. policy. His administration's decision to cut aid to the global south, including Africa, had far-reaching consequences. Health, education, security, and food security programs were severely impacted, leaving a void that China and Russia were quick to fill. The question now is, can Africa rely on external powers for its development, or is it time for the continent to look inwards for solutions? Africa stands at a crossroads. The continent is rich in resources. The story of Africa is still being written. In a world of competing powers, the continent's greatest strength lies in its people, its resources, and its vision for the future. The question is no longer where Africa lies in the multipolar world, but where it chooses to stand.